Yeah. Oh my gosh, box of paint. Hello. Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, it's been a a good start of the year in the sense that nothing particularly bad happened to me personally. I'll take it, you know. Standards have been somewhat lowered in the last few years, so how have you been? How's been your start of the year so far? It feels like it's been an actual month of Sunday. With that being a good thing, right? Yep. I almost dipped my brush in my hot chocolate. Almost did the thing. On the 2nd, I got an email telling me to find a new role, which means CV updates, which means focusing on me and things I can do, and I find it. Oh, it is so stressful. It is indeed. Also, that's kind of a, you know, a shitty, shitty New Year thing to happen, right? But otherwise, we are good kitty cats. Got far too many treats over Christmas, and hubby built a a cardboard maze. That sounds really cool. Do you happen to have any photos of that? It's a 3-story tower wall with different access points for different levels and little windows so the cookies can go in, but they can't reach them. I have so many photos to share. I just keep getting the winter blues, and suddenly another week Or 5. Why? Ok. Ouais. Pour vrai. Ah ouais. Ah, c'est pas drôle.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle veut?
Elle veut de l'amour, elle veut des amis. Qu'est-ce qu'elle veut? Bon. Il va, bébé. Non, je te suis pas. C'est toi qui viens voir. Moi, je vais pas te voir. C'est toi qui viens voir.
Avec ton autre main.
Et voilà. Tu veux de l'attention. Attends. On va tasser le painting. Oui, faut aller te sniffer. Tu fais les peintures. Sniffer l'eau, pas boire dans mon eau, s'il vous plaît. Ouais. Salut. Salut, mes minettes. Ça te manquait? Ouais, bon. Salut, mon chaton. Tu ronronnes bien fort. That's the cure for the winter blues for sure. Bright, beautiful orange. I agree. Especially if your bright, beautiful orange purrs. It's extra. Yeah, ma fille. She's so warm. You're all warm. I think we've had a naughty tomcat visitor because the last few days... Oh, stupid heart thingy. I can't read because of the stupid heart thingy. I need to go. Oh, last few days both of my babies get nasty trying to smell something while I feed the fish. Do you still let them out? Is the weather like decent enough that you can bring the kitties out? I don't know if my phone picks up the purrs, but she's bringing up a storm. They both hiss and carry on when it's time to go in, and that is so rare. They don't just run back in when it's time. We have so many floods here right now, but I try to time it, and they are fine with getting their feet wet. Okay, that's good. Hey, Dan! Hello! Floods. What a weird winter. Hey, Salome, hi! Yeah, cat butt. Beautiful cat butt. Elle est tellement cute, hein? Ouais. I have on haptic bass headphone, and it's like she's in the room. baby. I have sweet peas growing that didn't work all summer. Our pond has new lily pads popping up. Yeah, that's unusual. That's weird. Hey, Mikey! I'm streaming a cat butt at the moment. This is one happy kitty. We've had minus temps and up to 15. Wow, 15, that's so warm. Thank God you're streaming today. It's snowing and I'm not gonna have it. Oh no! I always wish we. Oh! Oh no! I gave her a shock on her little nose. I'm so sorry, Pickle. The baby. Poor little baby. Currently doing some editing. It feels cold today. It's kind of cold here too, but we're still not getting any snow. I always wish winter was proper until I get the gas bill. We went to meet a friend for lunch and I had on a fuzzy hoodie and a coat and hubby was like, it's not that bad, and then he froze for the wall. How cold is it? Oh, that's good of you to even pick up, Mikey. And this is how cat fur always ends up being an important part of any artwork. Paint palette, brushes, sketchbook, hot chocolate, you name it. Et attends. Tu perds tout ton poil, pépette. Husband had the door open for plumbing purposes today. It's chilly now. Oh yeah, definitely. I think we topped out at 6 here, which isn't terrible, but still very cold for me. Yeah, 6 is not that bad. Like I would, 6, oh my gosh, I wouldn't know what to wear outside. Probably just a t-shirt and my fall coat. Because I tend to heat up really easily, so the thing is you don't want to sweat too much. Wish we had snow and not wind and rain. Yeah, we don't have snow either, which is relatively unusual. I didn't have to wear a coat on Xmas, it was not good. Cat fur is very important. It is. Do you want to go there? Do you want your spot? She's probably gonna steal my chair. Since I'm up to get her chair, right? Non, ça c'est ma place, mon coucou. Ici. I need my chair. I'm streaming thing. There you go. There you go, Mato. Cute. Tu flattes ton Mato. No, 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 c'est ma chaise. Bon. I have a problem. Let me show you my problem. This is my problem. I hope you can see my problem. That's my chair. And that's not my butt on it, that's Pecco's butt on it. Qu'est-ce que t'en penses? Popo? Popo. Bon. I'm gonna be the one sitting on the cat blanket that's full of cat spit and cat hair and you name it. Alright. We realized that Bear turns 4 in a couple of months and I still can't believe it. But we are 100% sure we lucked out with Amazing Babies. You definitely did. At first glance, I thought Eve had dyed her hair and cut it really short, then I realized it was of course a cat. I think the wind and rain are making it feel colder than 6. I've been lucky with the winds, but places we're getting 70 miles per hour. That's a lot of wind. I like a good wind, but yeah, that's something else. Problem blessing. Possession in 9/10 of the law. Darn squatters. Cat law. I think a glass of mulled wine might help me. Yeah, or a glass of hot chocolate. I can vouch for the glass of hot chocolate. Like this one. All right. Oops. Wow, I did something very uncharacteristic for me. I left my brush in water. Side note, but I finally got to meet my blue Russian nephew and absolutely love. Ooh! I love the blue Russian color. I had a cat that was not a blue Russian, probably was a mutt, but it had a really similar coat color and it's such a beautiful gray. I think, if I remember right, gray color and cat coats It's basically the black coat jean with an added jean that dilutes the black. So gray is just technically diluted black. I'll tell you, a bath with some wine sounds like something my... That's funny. I don't like baths and I absolutely abhor alcohol, so... Not my... I feel too weird taking a bath. I'm like... I'm not doing anything. Like, I need to at least be doing something. I don't find it particularly relaxing to be naked in a vat of water that gets progressively colder. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Probably just me. You reminded me, I've had Lyra 3 years this year. We've had the girls for 13 years this year. In, I don't know, March, I think. They're old ladies now. I will share the photo, y'all. We'll just have to excuse the crazy hair. Oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. I love to feel like I'm soup. That's a good way to put it. I mean, crazy hair, that's perfectly fine. We probably all have crazy hair. I know I do. On paper, I love baths, but since getting my watch that checks your heart rate, making the bath is relaxing. Taking the bath and my heart rate is over 100. How come? What causes it to climb up while taking the bath? I don't really rest my phone on the side and watch YouTube or Netflix. But, well, you can do that dry though. And you don't get all pruny and the water doesn't get all cold and stuff. I don't know. I don't like feeling like I'm soup. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Mikey. Oh, I have to have my medication to have a bath. We aren't all cut out to be soup. Yep, definitely. When I get in the bath, it's a similar feeling to when I try to go to sleep. Already nosy mind explodes. Oh, really? It's a bit like if the moment you try to take a breather or to rest, your brain goes extra. And I suddenly think of 200 things that I should be doing instead of relaxing in bath. Yeah, that's kind of what I get to, perhaps a bit less extreme, but it always ends up being some form of like, or I could, you know, be taking a shower and then do other things, you know. Usually the opposite to me. I get all head up and busy, but when I need to snap out of it, I get in the bath. Huh. I love being soup. You're making me want to have a bath. Ugh. Sometimes that means in the middle of the day. Oh, I couldn't imagine though. I mean, I can understand why it's a thing and why a lot of people enjoy it. That's fine. When I say that, I can figure it out. I mean, for myself. And I don't know, baths are not made to be particularly, like, comfy, right? They're always either too short or too long or too narrow or I don't know. Sometimes having a shower feels too busy. Well, it's pretty straightforward. Sorry, I was just trying to finish my hot chocolate before it got too cold. You guys have been in 16 days today. I totally missed it. Oh, that's a bummer. Do you know what got you to end up in the hospital this time? Well, I mean, you know, but have you shared? Do you feel okay with sharing the info or something? What are words? What am I doing? Ugh. We have a clawfoot tub and it's very deep and mostly long, but hubby 6'6", so it's gonna take a custom build to get one he can lie down in. I'm 5 feet, so I have the opposite issue. I can probably lay down fine in the tub, but that means my head would be somewhat underwater. And that's not exactly comfy. Clawfoot bed though, that's gotta be really cool looking. I would much rather they bring that back than having the kind of you know, integrated baths that we have today. I don't like those. It's got a space in the corner for Bear to pop up and scare the bee goodness. Aww, I love Bear. Bear is a good kitty. I came in with the flu and 103 fever, and they decided I also had pneumonia. Well, they decided, I mean, do you have pneumonia? If you do, you do. Hubby is always happy when we go see my bestie, who is also a giant, because he doesn't have to look down to talk. How tall are you, Box? If I was talking to your hubby, I guess all I would see is nostrils and chin. I'm 5 feet. Like, that's a good 1.5 feet more than me. I mean, Mr. E is quite tall, but not 6'6". Oh, 5'11", that's good. I mean, that's only 7 inches difference in height. But feels super tall in the UK. Man. When you're 5'5", you never feel tall anywhere. But, you know. Hubs and 2 of his cousins are 6'5" plus, and everyone else is 5'7" max. What happened? What's going on there? I'm 5'10", I'm short for a guy. No, I think that's fairly average. That's a good height. That means that you can probably find shoes and decent length pants and decent length sleeves shirt like quite easily. I think that's a win. Hubby is 5'7", but he is average for his demographic of Jewish guys. Not jeans. My jeans are usually like an inch too long. Yeah, but that's kind of... I feel like that's easier to manage than an inch too short. Like, you can get them rehemmed quite easily. Or you can like have a turn up depending on the cut of the jean. Jeans? And then your average, and yes, I have pneumonia. I am on high flow oxygen, and every time they touch the flow, my oxygen tanks into the 70s. Yeah, I guess the pneumonia is not quite recovered from already yet. I mean, it sucks, but it beats the alternative, right? Granted, it depends on the shoe, but I can put a whole one of my shoes inside my hubby's shoe. That's a clever way to travel with shoes. I could do that too, so I'll try to keep that in mind. And said before, but we freaked out the tailor getting our suits for the wedding because we have the same inseam. Whoa! So hubby is what? Hubby is all torso, or you're all legs, or a bit of both? I'm 5'3". So many people wish for a tall guy, but they sleep on the short ones, missing out. I don't know. I mean, yeah, definitely, but I feel like it's kind of a weird way to go about it for people who do that, because it's like, how is... if a person's height is that important, that's kind of a weird thing. Because it's not like we can influence that. There are a lot of things that we can influence by our actions, but height is not one of those things. Like, it's genetics. You're either tall or short or average. It's not really that much you can do to change that. There are other traits, like, for example, weight, that you can somewhat influence yourself, but height, that's not the case. Oh, he must have huge feet. I wear 7s, he wears 14s. That's hilarious. You can almost fit two of your shoes in his. Almost. I've got long chicken legs and he's got a long torso. Proportionally, for a woman, I have kind of big feet. Not like clownishly big, but I'm relatively short, and like my mom, who was about the same height, could get her shoes in the kids section. I cannot. Large socks and exactly in big shoes. Funnily enough, it's kind of hard to find larger socks. Because like the standard men's socks, like the large one, they go up to what, 11 possibly? And I mean, socks are stretchy, so you can basically wear them regardless, but they get all stretched out and they wear out much more quickly. Which kind of sucks. Sucks. your foot is the same size as your elbow to wrist. So I gotta have pretty long forearms, right? The nonsense of it all. His arms are so long. But look normal. Yeah, well, definitely. Well, you can measure it out then. Yeah, I had forgotten about that kind of comparison, but yeah, it's one that I learned about when I started drawing like a million years ago. Thanks for the cough with love. Oh no! Can't remember where I learned that, but it was something to do with proportions. Like for most people, if you stand with your arms out, you are the same height as the length of, yeah, across. Like your wingspan, basically. Oh, thank you so much, Salome. It took me a really long time to find an idea for a sketch to sort of test out these colors together. And then I was like, oh, you know what? So the colors are from Agallo. It's Dragon's Blood and Vivianite. I really, really love the Vivianite. It's beautiful, it's perfect, it's granulating, it's amazing. I'm not entirely sold on the Dragon's Blood just because it's really grainy. It's really, really grainy as a color, so you kind of have to put a bit more thought in where to use it and how to use it, and a color that would be just a bit more smooth. It's not like granulation, it's really like a graininess, like tiny clumps of paint. We are compressed cubes. Yep. Pink is such a winter color, I swear. Is it? Perhaps because it's a bit like red with white. It's a really pretty color, but not sure how I feel about the texture. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like granulation. Like the Vivianite is spot on, but the like I totally understand. The Dragon's Blood is a natural red. It's natural red 31, so it's basically similar to you would get from Rose Madder and all that. And I know that these colors tend to stay really clumpy and gritty because of the way the pigment is made and all that, the fact that it's from a plant and everything. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, which is why I'm painting this, incidentally. When I moved over, hubby painted the hall in his flat with texture paint, and if you fell against it, it was like being blasted. Oh no, no, that's not good. That's why. I know exactly what you mean, and it's just so painful. Oh, speaking of painful and sandpaper, I had to go to the hospital to have tests done, and not because the whole reason for the test is that they are being extra thorough rather than the opposite, and it's not something that they feel is necessarily needed, but they just wanted to, you know, make sure that I didn't have any heart-related issue. So I did a stress test where you know the thing in The Simpsons where you you walk on a treadmill and they have you on a monitoring thingy and they make sure like your heart is working okay under stress. On its own, not very nothing very strenuous or whatnot in terms of a test, but I gotta tell you, like they put all these sticky pads on you to plug the monitoring machine to, and the dude who did it, what he would basically do, he would start with an alcohol swab, like rubbing alcohol to dry out the skin, and then he had this sort of thing that was a bit like a Scotch tape dispenser, and you know, you break away a piece like you would a piece of tape on a tape dispenser, but it's not tape, it's actually fine grit sandpaper. And I think it might be sticky on the back, so he can just stick it to his finger. And what they basically do is they rub the skin where they will attach the sticky pads. But that thing, oh my gosh, that sandpaper thing, and I have somewhat sensitive skin. It hurt so much. It was so painful. That stupid scratchy thingy, and I had like scratches at every single spot where they put the pads. Like after I had like serious scratches, and I was like, he didn't rub it really extensively. He just did like a light scratching of the skin, but it was absolutely unnecessary. It hurt so much. It was like about 10 spots of cat scratches. It was so painful. It was not a fun test for that. Also, it's a stress test, and they have you remove like your bra if you have boobs, and it's not exactly fun to do a stress test with no support. So that part also sucked. It was like, yay. Did they find the cattail? No, I managed to keep it hidden. It reminds me of Fiocati carpet. What is that? That reminds me of the really, 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 you know, the short carpets that you can find some places that if you end up like falling on or just like scratching yourself on, it's really abrasive too. Is the goal to stress me out before I start? Yep. I was like, can you really trust the result you'll get if I'm all like stressed out because of the pain and whatnot? I had the same kind of stress test, except they used the medicine too. Yeah, so the fact that they kind of scratched the skin and then put on a sticky thingy on top of it was like excruciating while I was walking to various speeds. It was like, and then I started sweating because they have you walk quite fast and like, not fun, not great. The unexpected awfulness of that test for something that seems quite simple, you know. Except they use the medicine to rate. Oh, okay. Well, it's not exactly. It's not a physical stress test, really, because it's not through exercise, right? I had that happen with blood pressure. The nurse was mean, and all 3 visits she did the test. New nurse in round 4 was fine. I had that too when I went to the OBGYN, which is probably the one doctor visit that I absolutely abhor. I hate it. I just, if I can avoid it, I will. I know I have to do it, but when they tell me like, oh, you can come back in 2 years, I'm always like, yes! I bought myself a year of peace. Nice! And I hate it, and since I'm always stressed about it, and I hate it, my heart rate is always elevated. And there used to be a place I would go to where they would, you know, measure my blood pressure every time, and they were like, oh, it's kind of elevated, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be here. I hate this place. I hate this test. I dread it, and I had to commute all the way to get here. So yeah, my heart rate is elevated. Anything else? Same nurse walked up to hubby while he was at a restaurant with his family and told him what he should have ordered. What's that? What? Hubby crawled into their office and she said it was Children's Day and he had to leave. His appendix at first? Wait, what? Ellen! Hello! I hope you had a lovely holiday season as well. Gonna go be soup. Have fun, Salome. Enjoy the soup. Cheerios also float in the middle. Oh man, that reminded me of you know, when you let Fruit Loops too long in the milk and they get all soggy and weird. Our GP in London was great. One of the 2 nurses was evil. She walked up out of the blue and said, "You shouldn't have ordered that. You should be having salad," while with his family. Wow. Oh, there are so many words to describe that, and none of them are approved on YouTube. None of them are safe for it. That's next level. She just happened to be there. Yeah, I mean, nobody asked her. I'm not the Karen type, but I think I would have pulled a Karen for that and called her boss and be like, yo, your employee sucks. And she kind of knows me through your business, and she's awful to me outside of the business. And I think that's something you might want to have a word with her about. And the one time we nearly broke up, he went into the GP feeling really bad, and she tried to kick him out. GP came out, called the ambulance because he's like, oh, okay, wow. And then there were complications with surgery, and I didn't hear from him. Whoa. Hold on. I hope that's not didn't hear from him for 3 months. Didn't hear from your boyfriend or husband for 3 months? That doesn't make any sense. His family didn't know. They didn't know how to contact you? That's nightmarish. That must have been a terrible 3 months. Holy moly. Months, not a couple of days, not a couple of weeks. Oh man. I think I'm gonna go stick the hot water on and make soup later too. The messages started out really sweet and got progressively more unpleasant. Oh no, but it's because you didn't know, right? Like, you didn't know what was up, so you couldn't guess that, like, something like that had happened. Especially a burst appendix. Like, it's not something that goes progressively bad over a long period of time and then reaches a point where you need surgery. It's basically like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're not fine. With a teeny tiny period of like, my belly hurts. I mean, it makes a really fun story for, to tell years later when it's all part of the past, because it's kind of not funny, but it's an interesting story, the whole thing. But oh, it must have been so awful at the time. I mean, you guys have been together for a while, so maybe, I don't know how far back that goes, but there was a time where it was much more difficult to reach people. We laugh about it now. Yeah, it would get me pretty anxious too, but like, what can you do? Sorry. It was around 2003, 2004. And no, we couldn't even video chat at the time. That was 20 years ago. I do indeed. I'm a geezer. Hey, I'm a geezer too. I remember that time fairly well. And also remember, like, people had cell phones, but not to the level people have cell phones today. it was not the pager era, but it was not that far from it, you know. Well, I think that's mostly done. I don't want to make the texture too smooth, but also kind of don't want it to be too weirdly patchy. But it's really hard to see. So I'll have to look at the I look at the stream to see how that's going. At the Christmas party, someone and I had worked at the same place, and I was like, oh, that was in '96, and they let me know they were still in grade school. I was 4 years old in '96. Yeah, go to hell, okay? Screw you, okay? That was the time when you had to pay for individual text messages, both outgoing and incoming. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, forget about sending images. That was not, you know, not a thing. We met in 2001, which, honest to goodness, still seems like it was a couple of years ago. I know. I kind of feel like that too. Like the early 2000s, they kind of feel both like a couple of years ago and also like a long time ago in other aspects. It's really a weird feeling where they don't feel exactly like the distance of time they should feel. When I moved to the UK, you got charged for being sent a text message, and I used to panic when I had group projects at you. Oh man, it's good already that you could afford a cell phone, you know. And yeah, in the early 2000s, I was at a point where I could probably use a cell phone, but just could not afford one. 2017 don't exist in my database. It's all 1 year. Yeah, that's kind of how it feels, right? It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel the way it should. Okay, so this thing here is a sketchbook that I decided to, like, you can see I started this one in 2021, September 2021. And I did this one drawing, and then I did this. And then much later I did a bunch of swatches when I went to see my friend Elodie, and we looked at her handmade paints that she has. And then I painted these. Initially that wasn't there. And then I painted these also. And then I realized, I was like, you know what? I don't really like painting on this. Like, I like the paper, but I feel like the paper is too thin, and you kind of end up seeing your painting on the other side, and it kind of bothers me. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this sketchbook. And for this one, I think I'm going to turn it into a swatch book. So that's what I started doing. And I added these here because I needed a place for them, and I had only just 6 colors of them. And then I added all of my my Masha palette here, and I really need to erase those lines. And after doing that, I was like, you know what, I kind of like having all the swatches in the same place. You know, like this is from Masha's watercolor, this too. So I'm like, cool, I like this. This is happy. And I kept on going at it, and I did more. So I have Lutea and Texas Wild Colors, since both are kind of made from plants, and Texas Wild Color has a few like earth pigments, but a lot of plants, and I wanted to be able to see all of them at once. And I added these swatches on cotton paper. Then I was like, okay, I like this, but it needs to be more organized. So I made a kind of grid, a template of sorts from an old Arches pad cover. And that can sort of help me separate the space in, you know, even areas for swatches. And that's what I started doing. And then I started with the Argalo ones, which fit mostly in one page except for one color. Also noticed that they tend to rub off a tiny bit, so I added a piece of tracing paper, covered up, and then I added more handmade paints here, and then I added some Holbein gouaches here, and I still have lines to erase. Why didn't I erase those? And more, and yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna keep going for this book and have it be like a big old swatch book. I get that. I felt weird when Doctor Who was on, and it's been nearly 20 years since David Tennant first became the Doctor. In 2001, I was first year college. I didn't bother with a cell phone, and it was too spendy. Yeah, same. I was in college too at that point, and just could not afford. Even if college in Quebec is really affordable, you still have rent to pay and food and whatnot. So, and you can't really. It's kind of hard to maintain a job and go to school full time. On cell phones, I get lost easily and move to London. So hubby ordered us the first phones that really sold video calling, so I could point the phone and he could tell me how to get them. Yeah, that's a good reason. That's a good reason to get one. Like, not having a good reason to get one doesn't really justify the expense at that point. But at uni, people were already in the I only send text messages. Send me an email! Ah! With all those winding streets, it makes sense. I rarely get turned around here at home, but in Ireland, especially if I didn't have the sun to help me orient, the curving roads mess with my sense of direction for a few. Dude, if you can orient yourself just with the sun, that's already that's already pretty epic skills. I am one of those inner compass like a homing pigeon people generally, so it really threw me off for a bit. Why one road needs 137 names. I am endlessly amused that hubby can remember how to navigate Amsterdam after one visit. I'd probably be fine now if I went back. I'm one of those, if I've been there once, especially if I've done the driving, it's up there in my brain forever. That's good. In Texas, 95% of the time being a grid makes these. Yeah, a grid is really helpful. The problem with Texas is not exactly the grid structure, it's what they put around the grid, you know. If you know what I mean. That's an entirely other discussion, but yeah. a Dublin cabbie tell me that you're on the grid system. That's cheating. I replied, oh sure, but it sure helps fewer people die when there's a meter of snow on the road and glare ice. Yep. Underneath it. What would shut this country down? My 70-plus-year-old mother would drive over country roads to get to her Aquafit class and not think twice. He laughed and admitted I had him there. That's a very good point. Yep. Like we can deal with multiple inches of snow falling all at once, like all in the same day. I have limited space for mass in my brain. I can drive to my parents' house from many places, but as soon as I move, reboot, and no memory of the previous place map-wise. Within weeks of leaving Chicago, I could remember the areas of town that I had lived in, but not a single street name. So it's really more of a visual memory, right? Hey, Ginny! Hello! Welcome! Okay, so the reason I set up this page for more swatches is because I want to swatch these colors in there. This box is a bit of a pain to open, but I really like it. And in there I have all sorts of various Winsor Newton colors, as far as I know, in various levels of vintageness. And I kind of want to swatch them, even if I don't know. Most of the colors are not labeled, so that's why I want to swatch them, so I can, have this reference, this visual reference of the colors in there. And I still have room for 1, 2, 4, 5 colors, so I guess I should take that into consideration. Also, some of these are full pans, so they're not exactly like 2 colors, they're 1 color. I am 100% drive 2 miles and you'll see a red barn with a broken down tractor. Take the next left kind of guy. Yes, it is. I shaved the clip down with a nail file a little bit so it's easier to open. Oh, that's not a bad idea. I should definitely look into that. Huh. But it's a really cool box. So what I like of it is it doesn't come with that many cartridges, but over time I managed to accumulate cartridges for this palette. So you can basically remove the cartridges. You can have it, just like that. And it's usually a way you can have the tubes in there, the Cutman or the Winsor Newton tubes probably. But I like the little cartridges that you can sort of move around more easily. And also the mixing space that this set has is really epic. So you have these 2 palettes. This one you can clip here, I think. This way. Clip. And it doesn't have a thumb ring in the bottom, as far as I can tell. But also, like I struggle with right now because I'm trying to do it like with my fingers. But if you have, I think you can cut it up with the. But basically, you can remove both trays, so it makes this palette super easy to care for and to wash. Because you can remove the trays and just have that, put that on the water, clean them. Good sturdy plastic. It will stain a bit, as will all plastic, but I don't care about. I don't mind staining. Really not bothered by it. And yeah. So even if this palette doesn't have the paints it came with anymore, I still really like it. And I have the smaller one too somewhere. And I put Holbein paints in it. North, south, east, and west are just noises when giving me direction. I'm the same. You have to. I kind of work better with visual directions too, or at least something yeah, I guess visual. Like if I know a specific landmark in a specific place, you can sort of help me, give me direction, you know, with that as a guideline. But aside from that, that palette is my favorite palette ever. If the pan section was better, there is endless mixing space, and the thing is stuff I've nailed. It is, isn't it? It's indestructible. That's the smaller one. It's a teeny tiny bit less good because of the plastic thing they have around here. It's basically like this one, you know, this thing, but this one stops here. The one for this set goes around, and it's like this really stiff rubber kind of product. So whenever you try to open the palette, it kind of stays like awkwardly open. But it's the exact same idea. You have the cartridges, and you have the two mixing spaces, and you can also clip this one here or there depending. I kind of really like it too. Hey, anyone else pick up the cute Schminke vintage color bijou box from Jackson's? I've always wanted a bijou box, so I picked one up, filling it up with other vintage pigments or similar ones. So, did you get the palette empty? Or did you get it with the paints it came with? I got the little 8-pan set, if that's the one you mean. I cannot fit pans in the middle. How can you? What? I thought pans fitted in the middle row. That's weird. Have you tried putting like perhaps smaller pans in there, like Winsor & Newton ones, or the Van Gogh sized? So a lot of these paints right now are vintage that I got from a bunch of secondhand palettes I got quite a while back. There's a few paints in there that I got myself over time, so quite some time ago in the end. There's a few paints that I poured myself. So from what I can remember, I have a green gold here and a perylene maroon here. And I gotta say, Winsor & Newton's perylene maroon is one of my favorite color from all the colors ever. It's just perfect. It's beautiful. Their green gold is also quite nice. This one I poured myself, and I think it's in the throne. This is their opera rose that I also poured myself. That's why I know what they are. There's a few pens in there that I bought. I think this one is, you know, dioxazine violet, so the Windsor violet. And there's quite a few ones, but the ones that, the full pans and the ones that are very low in paint, these I didn't buy myself, so I don't really know what they are. It's gonna be a surprise. I have a dot card of swatches from Winsor & Newton, so I think I might be able to compare the painted swatches with the swatches from the dot card and to figure out what color is what. But yeah. Couldn't tell it was opera. No? Couldn't tell? It's almost burning a hole in the camera. And I got it with the colors it came from. I did a cadmium yellow deep, a carmine, Prussian blue, and sepia. I usually go much more vibrant, so it's a nice challenge. That's really cool. I'm befuddled about the bijou box too, because I have a you know, a no brand one, and I can very easily fit 12 pans in there of I thought I would have thought that all of these bijou boxes are basically all the same ones, but you know, with a different paint job on them, you know. This there's a couple of pens in there that I got secondhand that have so many small hairs in there and kind of dust and bits and bobs, and I don't know what's the story of those pans, but and that's after like cleaning them up. Like I really need to do something about the stability of those stupid pans in there. It's annoying. Hold on. Everything's in the way. Come on. I need to do like what I did with the other box and put bits of tissue between the pans so they stay put. Because they don't stay put, and that's really annoying. I did find that a row of quarter pans fit in the tiny row of the Caturday. Oh, I put like paint blobs in there like straight up, but yeah, I didn't think about adding quarter pans. It's a good idea. Oh, Ellen, that's so funny. Ellen says, speaking of, while I was trying to fill up the box, I was sorting through empty half pans, picking out empty schminke ones, and the cat decided that half pans were the new best toy ever and started stealing them and running off. Thankfully, they were empty and clean. That's so funny. I can totally see why a cat would think that's a brilliant cat toy. It makes noise, it bounces around really easily. Oh, I'm not exactly in camera. Hold on, I'll shuffle stuff around. That's a stupid freaking thing. There you go. That's a really pretty orange. Yeah, I have a video of him picking it up and dashing off the first time. And Mom exclaimed, "What the hell?" Oh, and you exclaimed, "That's so funny." Oh, that's really cute. I love cats. Cats are the best. Hello again, I am post-soup. Any unusual one? Any unusual what? Salmon is marinated. Pickled. It's such a beautiful, rich color. It color shifts a tiny bit as it dries, but it's still beautiful. I'm not sure why I put the paints in that order. But meh. I had a bath bomb and everything. Oh, vintage colors. What, in this palette? Nah, I don't think so. None of these seem to be old enough to be around the time of being special vintage colors. I have a couple of tubes of vintagey Winsor Newton, but I haven't gotten around to playing with them. I have a Prussian green that I'm quite excited to play with. I think I have a Carthamus pink, maybe? I'm not sure. I know I have a genuine rose madder that's, I know it's not exactly a color, like it still exists today, you can still get it from Winsor Newton, but I'm kind of excited to try a vintage tube of it. I have the Aurora Yellow and a couple of other ones. I would still like to know what the orange leaning ochre have on my mystery palette. It's such a nice color and not a single swatch matches it. Oh no! So what have you tried comparing it to? Perhaps we can, like if you have photos of it or scans or whatnot, we could maybe figure it out on Discord. Oh yeah, Theo Indigo Violet is pretty. I was really surprised. I don't know if you guys remember, but I posted a review not too long ago about a Paul Rubens palette that had a Theo Indigo Violet in it. And it looked really, you know, to be the genuine thing. It's the accurate hue, it's the accurate, you know, the paint behaves the same way and all that. And I was like, why? Why is it no longer in other paints? What happened? Is it like because it's not light fast enough? Like, what's up? I don't remember. Oh, that's indigo. Ah, so pretty, so pretty. Gosh, I love that color. This one is nice. Maybe my second favorite indigo color. Yeah, it's pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I have the Indigo Violet and wasn't that fussed by it. I like the Rose Cartham watercolor paint. All of the ochres in my collection. I only had a couple of oranges at the time I made the palette. And it's very mildly granulating, but it's pretty straight. So it's a handmade paint. I think that's something like cerulean. It's very pretty, but it's a bit streaky, which is annoying. I have the same thoughts about most raw sienna. I like the hue of raw sienna, but a lot of raw siennas are really streaky. And I'm just like, well, I mean, you can often get a really similar hue in yellow ochre, but yellow ochre won't be streaky. So what's up with that? Similar to PV 55. That's true. That's true. Cochineal red was tempting, but Colonelison have 2 versions of the pigment, and I was more tempted to try that. I hope for you that it's not a pain in the ass to mull if you ever decide to give it a try. Because there's really nothing quite as annoying as a kind of carmine pigment or like Prussian blue. You know, those kind of older pigments that get a bit clumpy. Ugh. There, I posted the video of Oreo. I have to go check that out when I'm done with streaming. And if nothing else, put it out for Halloween decoration. Jars of a pinkish dust, bug dust. You guys in the UK are quite fortunate because you have a higher likelihood of stumbling upon really nice vintage items in secondhand shops and all that. Like old jars, old paint stuff, pigment stuff, but you know, not necessarily related to paint, just any kind of old jars that could date back quite far. I like to watch a lot of videos of people mudlarking on the Thames, and wow, they find stuff that go all the way back to the Roman Empire, and I'm like, hey, that's not Canada. Let's just say that. And that's so cool. Like, oh yeah, I found a Roman urn, and you're like, you find a what? Oh, and it still has the fingerprint of the person who made it, and you're like, wait, what? How cool is that? That's a beautiful green. I hope I can figure. Oh, it's olive green. Okay. Okay, not mad at this olive green if the pan is accurate. It's a bit grainy, but pretty. I have Purple Lake and Queen Gold. Ooh, Queen Gold. Cochineal red isn't that exciting in watercolor. It's essentially food coloring. I mean, it's a pretty red. I just wouldn't want to have to make it myself. I would buy the tube, like if it's a color that I really wanted, but you can get it from Lutea, and yeah, it's quite nice too. I'm still needing therapy for Rose Madder. She was evil and so promising. I know, I never quite managed to make a presentable pan of Rose Madder. I have a couple of pans still that, you know, it works well, it looks good on paper, but the pan is so ugly. Like, the first batch I made was too dry and too clumpy, so I tried to remold it with stuff, and it made kind of a hybrid mess that resulted in a pretty paint, but really ugly pans. I have a jar of dirt. Do you have a heart in your jar of dirt? If you put that jar of dirt on cotton paper, it will look like gold. Oh my god, I love watching northern mudlarks, as well as several more London. Yeah, oh my gosh, yes. I really like watching it. It's like I didn't know it was a thing, and then I think Otto sent me a video of mudlarking, and it like started to make sense in my head, in the sense that I had dreams about mudlarking, even if I didn't know what that was. Like, I would often end up on like on the side of a small river, and would find all kinds of stuff on the sides of the river and in the river. And since it's a dream, usually there would be like some sort of authority that would show up and be like, "You cannot do this here," blah 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 blah. And yeah, but that was a really recurring dream that I had a lot of times. And then I found out about mudlarking, and I was like, "Oh no." You can't really do it here. Like, it's not. Maybe you can find some like arrowheads or whatnot, but it's not the same level of. It's kind of a mix of archaeology and recent history in a way, but that's sort of accessible to anyone that doesn't mind having to touch at sewage, basically. And it's just so fascinating, like all the clothespins that they find all the time, and the clay pipes, and oh man, I'm just obsessed with that stuff. Mudlarking looks like it would be fun. Oh, it's absolutely fun. I know the Thames is nasty, but would be worth the 100 showers afterwards. Yeah, you need a license. Like, you can't just go there and mudlark anymore. Probably because a bunch of people ruined it for everyone else. But from what I've seen, the people who do it, they really often wear gloves. Because, like you said, the Thames is disgusting. But there's also a conservation aspect for everything. Like, they find leather soles from shoes that are multiple hundreds of years old. It's just amazing. I think it's because they say the mud of the Thames is anaerobic, meaning that stuffs that get stuck in the mud doesn't degrade because there's no oxygen. I think that's it. So that's why you can find organic materials that have withstood time so well. The hayfield in behind my buddy's place is lousy with stone arrowheads. You just have to take a walk and start kicking around. It's kind of cool. That's really cool. That's as close as it gets, right? Oh. And I mean, I don't live exactly there anymore, but like I spent a lot of time in Quebec City, and it's kind of an old city for North America, you know. And I think this one is olive green too. I have 2 olive greens. It's kind of streaky, but it's really beautiful hue. I hate when paints are streaky. Why? Come on, guys, you have all the machinery and tools and equipment and whatnot to make this not streaky. Do something. Yeah, so when Quebec City turned 400 years old in 2008, they did like a bunch of special events and stuff, and I don't remember the exact context of it, but they ended up doing archaeological digs sort of just next to the Frontenac castle in Quebec, and they had like kind of a setup of you could check out the digs, and they would exhibit what they found, but it was not impressive finds. It was like bits of pottery and pipes and bits of metal, you know. It's cool, but not as cool as to find something that's from the medieval era, you know. You're like, wait a second, what? No, I don't think that's sap green. Sap green is permanent sap green from, it's more like this color from Windsor and this one I'm pretty sure is olive green. Or adjacent, because it's not quite the same hue as this, but This one could be contaminated because it's just a bit of a leftover in the pan, you know. The tides in London are pretty quick, and I think if tourists had the option to get close to the water, it would be a whole extra layer of chaos. Yep. We stayed on the coast in Wales, and was careful of the tides while on the beach. People busk in the Thames. It's wild. Looking at the UK with 2004 Eyes, beauty everywhere, then the horror stories from always till now about the scary ass places here. I think, oh, have a good nap, Mikey. I hope it's a good one. He went to school in Wales and was ready to move after one visit. Oh, I was ready to move after one visit. You mean ready to move there? It looks lovely. Oh, it's time to swatch the best color. Though, to be fair, I mean, Winsor & Newton's Opera Rose is not that impressive. It is bright pink, but it's not like the retina burning level of the Magella one or the Holbein one. I think this one has a relatively fair amount of PR 122 in there. What is this one? Oh, this probably alizarin crimson of some sort. And then the purple that's almost black. I have a Welsh friend who lives here now, and he warned me about Wales being the hidden gem of the trip. He was correct. Oh no. Oh no. Wales is beautiful, green everywhere, the beaches are lovely. Wales is great, but not many jobs. You can help but feel happy when you hear Welsh. If you can understand what they're saying, I guess. Is the you know, the city with the really weird long name, is it a Welsh city? I think it's a Welsh city. You know, the one that ends with go 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 or whatnot. We were in a small place called Porthmadog. Probably not how you say that. Tourist town with a very cool narrow gauge excursion steam railroad trip. Whoa. Dad picked that and it was fantastic. My grandparents are Welsh. That's really cool. But London rules them all, and all the jobs are out here. The folks in Porthmadog were baffled that Canadians had washed up in town and were buying groceries at Tesco's. Yeah, it's a Welsh city. Yeah, that's the one. Something something go 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 go. I love it so much. It's one of those internet clips that you kind of have to watch yearly, like every once in a year. I'm like, I think I'm due for that one. There are two videos that I would categorize as from England-ish. There's that one about the city, the Welsh city, and the one about the guy who's stuck on the roof, and his friend is filming him and talking to him as the guy tries to find a way down the roof. That one's hilarious. With the subtitles. Wow, why are these paints so goopy? I don't know if you guys can see how goopy that is, but it's really quite icky. It's supposed to be burnt umber. Shouldn't be that goopy though. I don't think that's a Cotman paint. But depends of inexpensive to ridiculously expensive or oddly. Oh, brands? That's one of hubby's party tricks though. Oh man. Oh wow, these are so streaky and goopy. What's up with that? Oops, and I dropped a big gold drop of water in there. They might be less tricky if I, instead of going straight from the pan to the paper, I mix the paint a bit better on my brush. It might be a way to help this up, but yeah. Alright, so that's done. One of the coolest things, though, was the stargazing. Snowdonia National Park is a dark sky preserve. Ooh! And it turns out the Pixel 6 has pretty good astrophotography tools if you have time to. Oh, that's awesome! Mine is a trick that makes everyone try to do, and then I don't have to talk while they work it out. That's a good trick. That's the best kind of party trick. I don't have a party trick, but then again, I don't really go to parties, so. Alright, I'm gonna call this the end of the stream. I need to stretch. And I also need for this to somewhat dry. I'm always so confused by Winsor & Newton paints because they have some really beautiful paints. No two way about it. But there's always something weird going on somewhere with some of the paints. And I thought that through swatching these, they would all come out a bit better. Like some are perfectly fine, like the French ultramarine or whatever ultramarine that is absolutely normal and fine. But like this one, there's a couple of streaky ones and I'm like, why are these streaky? They shouldn't be streaky. And it's kind of weird. Maybe it's the paper. It's kind of, this paper is more of a hot press paper than a cold press, so maybe that's something. But yeah, I'm a bit bothered by it. I'm like, why are you weird? Thank you so much everyone for being here today. It's been really nice and I appreciate you guys coming over. I know it's been a while since I last did a live stream, so to be honest, I was kind of expecting it to be somewhat empty, but you guys showed up and I'm really thankful, and it was a really fun chat with you guys, and I hope you have a good weekend. And yeah, thank you so much everyone. See ya in the next one, and I'll try to figure out that party trick. Pagsapain, that sounds curious. Bye!